Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a woman named Kilea. At 32, she was known for her beauty and kindness, yet no man had ever asked her to marry him. Kilea lived with her mother, and in her early 20s, she turned down every proposal she received. Because of this, the young men in the village thought she wasn't interested in love and quickly looked for other partners. However, Kilea had a different story. She was searching for true love, the kind that made her heart race and filled her with joy. She didn't want to settle for anything less than the perfect man. For years, she focused on herself, enjoying life and spending time with her friends and family. Everything changed when a charming young man named Mason came to the village to work at a road paving workshop. He had a warm smile that lit up his face. Kilea first saw him at the local supermarket. Their eyes met, and they shared shy smiles. In that moment, Kilea felt a spark she had never felt before. As their friendship grew, Kilea felt a spark of hope. One day, she invited Mason to her home to meet her mother. Her mother, protective of Kilea, was unsure about this new man. When Mason arrived, Kilea's mother noticed the way he spoke, and something about his words didn't feel right. Even though she felt uneasy, she kept her thoughts to herself. Kilea was determined to explore this relationship. She was tired of being alone and believed Mason could be the man she had always dreamed of. When she told her mother about moving to the city with him, her mother became more worried. She thought Mason wasn't sincere and feared he would hurt Kilea. But Kilea stood her ground, feeling it was time to find her happiness. Reluctantly, her mother stayed quiet, hoping everything would turn out well for her daughter. Soon after, Kilea moved into a cozy apartment that Mason rented while they waited for his job to take them to the city. At first, everything seemed perfect. But as days went by, Kilea noticed that Mason had a short temper. He was often tense and quick to get angry over little things. Kilea thought it was just stress from work and tried to calm him down during those moments. Mason loved spending time in the woods around the village. He enjoyed swimming in the river and picking wild fruits to bring home for Kilea. One day, he returned with a tiny wolf cub in his hands. Kilea was shocked and worried. She told Mason, "We can't keep it. What if its mother comes looking for it and attacks us?" But Mason was determined and said, "It's ours now," refusing to take the wolf back to the forest. At first, Kilea kept her distance from the little wolf, but soon she noticed it was neglected and hungry. Compassion took over, and she began to care for it, giving it food and water. The wolf cub quickly grew attached to her, and she started treating it like a pet, despite worrying that the villagers would not approve. She named the wolf Bella, and it became her loyal companion, always by her side. 3 months later, Mason told Kilea he had to go to the city for work, but promised to come back and take her with him. Days turned into weeks, and Kilea became more anxious. She wrote him letters, but he never answered. Feeling abandoned and worried, she decided it was time to return to her mother's house, hoping for comfort and support. Her mother welcomed her back with open arms, relieved to have her daughter home. But when she saw the grown wolf, she was horrified. "Kilea, that thing cannot stay here," she exclaimed. After a heartfelt conversation, Kilea convinced her mother to let Bella stay, promising to return her to the wild when the time was right. As they settled back into their routine, Kilea's mother began to notice changes in her daughter. Kilea's stomach started to swell, and her mother soon realized that Kilea was pregnant. When Kilea complained of strange pains, her mother gently suggested that she might be expecting a child. At first, Kilea brushed it off, but a visit to the doctor confirmed the news. Overwhelmed with sadness and fear, Kilea realized that raising a child alone was not part of her plan, leaving her feeling lost and uncertain about the future. Crying often, Kilea felt grateful for her mother's unwavering support. Her mother comforted her, saying they would face this new journey together. While she was sad about the situation, she also felt happiness at the thought of becoming a grandmother. But Kilea remained despondent. She missed Mason and kept hoping he would come back. Most of her days were spent alone, lying on the floor with Bella, who would rest her head on Kilea's belly, sensing the life growing inside her. One day, a postman knocked on their door and handed Kilea a letter. With trembling hands, she opened it, only to find words that shattered her heart. Mason had married another woman and was expecting a child with her. He urged Kalea to forget him completely. The betrayal hit Kalea hard, like a punch to the gut. She couldn't understand how someone she trusted could do this. Overwhelmed with grief, she locked herself in her room for days, refusing to eat or talk to anyone, drowning in her sorrow and feeling utterly alone. After days of despair, Kalea made a hard decision. She gathered her jewelry, planning to sell it so she could afford a trip to the city for an abortion. The thought of raising a child alone without a father felt too heavy for her. As she packed, Bella, her loyal wolf, watched her closely, sensing something was wrong. The next morning, Kalea was determined to leave. She hopped on her bike, ready to reach the city. But Bella, sensing her distress, chased after her. As Kalea pedaled faster near the highway, she spotted a tree fallen across the road. She quickly parked her bike and started to clear the path, hoping to get through. Just then, two men appeared, and Kalea felt her heart race. They looked drunk and had bad intentions. When the men saw the bag in Kalea's hand, they moved closer, trying to steal it. When Kalea refused to give it up, the men pushed her down into the bushes. Just as she lost hope, Bella sprang into action. The wolf charged at the men, her growls echoing through the trees. At first, the men wanted to fight, but when they saw Bella's fierce loyalty and anger, they ran away in fear. Though Kalea was shaken and hurt, she realized how lucky she was to have Bella by her side. Sitting on the roadside, tears streaming down her face, she felt lost. Bella licked her belly and tugged at her dress, urging her to return home. Kalea understood then that she couldn't ignore Bella's instincts. With a heavy heart, she turned around, knowing going back to her mother was the right choice. And after that, Bella became Kalea's biggest support. The day finally came when Kalea held her beautiful baby girl, with soft blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Instantly, a wave of joy and love washed over her, a feeling she had never felt before. Her mother was thrilled, helping Kalea take care of both her and the baby. Bella, the loyal wolf, stayed close, watching over them. As the years went by, Bella grew into a strong and playful wolf. Kalea watched her friend closely and realized it was time for Bella to return to the wild, where she truly belonged. This decision made Kalea sad, but she knew it was what was best for Bella's future. When the day came, Kalea hugged Bella tightly and said goodbye, knowing they would always share a special bond. Though Bella roamed the forests with her pack, she never forgot about Kalea and her newborn baby girl. Every day, Bella returned to visit them, always making sure they were safe. Kalea cherished these visits, feeling the comfort of Bella's presence as they played and laughed together. Kalea became stronger and more independent over the years. She found a job and worked hard to provide for her little girl. With the help of her mother, Kalea created a loving home filled with warmth and happiness. Her mother enjoyed being a grandmother and helped care for the baby, making their family even closer. 5 years later, everything changed when Mason showed up unexpectedly at Kalea's house. He carried a bag of money and wanted to buy their daughter as if she were an object. Kalea felt a wave of anger wash over her. "I don't want your money, Mason. I don't need anything from you," she said firmly. Frustrated, Mason tried to force the money into Kalea's hands, raising his voice in desperation. "Take it! Just let me buy her!" he shouted. But just as Kalea was about to respond, Bella appeared. The loyal wolf stood protectively between Kalea and Mason, growling softly. Bella's fierce gaze made Mason step back, realizing he had lost control. Mason, feeling defeated, turned away and left. Even though Bella had her own family in the woods, she continued to visit Kalea and her daughter regularly, ensuring they were safe and happy. That's all for today. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts about this story. What's the next story you'd like to know? Let us know in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of these amazing videos on The Wild Wonder.